Hey Cody, it's Brett. Just thought I'd shoot you a video to help better explain some of the stuff I was talking to you about on Facebook. Feel free to pass this video around if you think you might know people who might find it helpful. Um, so here are something that probably looks pretty familiar. Here are the Clearomizers that you probably have. Um, this is the one I started off with. I got it for like $6 at the local store down the street. It works fine. They're great. They can be a little bit of a pain for what they're worth and the performance you get out of them, but they're fine. I totally recommend these to anybody starting off. This Clearomizer looks almost exactly identical, but it's actually called an iClear 16. It's etched down here on the bottom of it. This camera's not going to pick it up very well, so I'm not going to bother trying to show it to you. But this is what comes with the iTaste MVP that I know you mentioned you were thinking about ordering. This is almost exactly like this in every way, except for this you can see has 2 coils, well, 4 wicks running down the sides of them. It's actually 2 wicks that are laced through the middle. So there's 2 coils. It's a dual coil system. And it gives you a little bit of a smoother hit and a little bit more flavor, I find. I really like these guys. I really like them a lot. The only reason I don't use them as much is simply the amount of juice they hold, and they are a little bit more of a pain for a little bit less flavor in the long run compared to some of these other things. But these are totally awesome. When you get them with your MVP, use them. They're great. This is the Pro Tank I was telling you about. I really like this a lot. This is the same family as those other 2 Clearomizers. It's still technically a Clearomizer, but it works a little bit differently. You'll notice you don't see any wicks in this one, but they are there. They're just down here. This is a bottom-fed Clearomizer. And I'll actually show you how this works here. Instead of screwing off the top on this, which you can't, which does also mean you're stuck with this mouthpiece, which isn't bad. Some people don't prefer metal, but I don't mind it. You actually screw off the bottom here, like so. And it's nice and knurled, so it's very easy to do that. Okay, and then you can see right down in the tank, and you can see that hole right there in the middle just clear on through to the mouthpiece. And to fill it, you would just pour your juice in right there, down the side. Very easy to do, very easy to fill. You get it very full that way. You don't have to worry about overfilling it. Just fill it up to the top of that little tube right there, and you're good to go. And this is also made out of Pyrex. This is glass, so cinnamon flavored juices, citrus flavored juices aren't going to crack it. This is the base assembly. You've got the base here, and then the removable, replaceable atomizer head here. These just screw off. You can buy these in a 5-pack for, I think, less than $8. And you can see here, possibly, if this camera will focus on it, you have 2 tiny little wicks on either side here. Because it's at the bottom of the tank, those wicks can be very short and still soak up plenty of juice. And because the coil is down at the bottom of the tank, when you're vaping on it, the draw is a little bit cooler. It's not as warm as it is with other Clearomizers, which I kind of like, actually. Some people don't. And also, just by the way it's constructed, the draw on a Pro Tank is a little bit more airy. It's a little bit of a easier draw. It's not as tight. Some people don't like that. Again, it doesn't bother me. It did bother me a little bit at first, but after like a week of using it, I'm like, oh yeah, this is fine. So yeah, you can just screw that replaceable atomizer head right back in there. Fill up your juice. Screw this back in. You're good to go. Very little problems with this. I have had a couple problems with the threads here on the base snapping off when I've dropped my rig and it's landed Pro Tank down first. This little collar with the threads on it will just pop right off. They're coming out with a new version of this soon, the Pro Tank 2. It's supposed to fix that, and also a couple other issues like not being able to replace this top part or not being able to replace the glass if that breaks. They're not out yet, so I can't really say anything about them yet. But I do like this. I do like this a lot. It holds a ton of juice. If I'm really pushing it, I can maybe go through one tank in a day. Yeah, it's a lot of vaping in one day to get through that whole tank. And it's just built really well too. And I kind of like the look of it. Some people don't. Some people think it's ugly. I think it looks cool. So there's that. Nothing too surprising there. This is what kind of threw me for a loop before I got into it, was the Cartomizer stuff. Because it's actually older than the Clearomizer stuff, there's not a lot of information about this. There's tons of information about it. I find it a little bit harder to find than information on these. So this is the Cartomizer, and this is the tank. This is not a very good tank, but it'll serve the purposes of my demonstration. And the reason it's not good is because it's small. Carto tanks are just tanks. There's not a lot of performance there. There's features that can be cool, but any one tank isn't going to affect your performance all that much. This is a Cartomizer. These come in a bunch of different styles. What I see on Reddit and the forums and stuff are Bogue 510 Cartomizers. Don't ask me how to spell it. Those are the most common ones. This one's a flanged Cartomizer. You can see it's got a little plate down here with the little cutouts on the side. I'll show you how that works, but that keeps the Carto locked into your tank a little bit more securely, but isn't always necessary if you've got a good quality tank either, with a good seal. The way these work is you've got that white filler material in there. It's kind of like a spongy, fibrous material. I'm not 100% sure what it is. But you basically soak that with juice, and you can see that little black wire there kind of running out of the hole in the middle. That's the coil. So that runs up the center hole right there. If you can see it, yeah, that hole. And it just coils around through there. You turn on your battery, it heats up that coil, vaporizes the juice, you suck it out the top. These are replaceable. You can clean them in rubbing alcohol or boil them. I've heard of a bunch of different ways of doing that. They're super cheap, and I just throw them away. Yeah, okay, so I'm not saving the world, but it's cheap and easy. You can see on this one too, maybe, you can see there's a little tiny hole right there, possibly. I'm not really sure if that's going to pick up. But right there, there's a little tiny hole. So this is a pre-punched Carto. You pay like $1 extra, and they'll punch that little hole in there for you, just for tanks. You can get that Carto punch I was talking about for like a couple bucks. Punch all your Cartos from there on out very cheaply. But you can't get them pre-punched if you don't want to mess with that. And this is the Carto tank here. This is a DCT mini tank, I believe. Again, I bought this from the brick and mortar store down the street, so I'm not 100% positive on the name. And the finish is starting to come off on this a little bit. You can see it's all kind of dinged up and whatnot. I wouldn't recommend this DCT tank, just A, because of its size. It's practically pointless to get a tank this small. I mean, as you can see, it's barely wider than the Carto itself. So it really doesn't hold that much juice. And if you're not only going to hold that much juice, why even bother with the tank in the first place? But I have a bigger DCT tank, exact same style, just bigger. And this is what I keep my honey berry juice in. I love that stuff. It's delicious. It's great. So yeah, I'll show you how this works. So what you would first do is you first want to prime your Cartomizer by getting it all juicy. This is the Bloody Mango juice from Vapor Chef. Very good stuff as well. I always usually order a bottle of this with my honey peri because this doesn't need to steep as long, and it prevents me from diving into my honey peri juice before it's all steeped up and wonderful. Because I'll just vape on this for a couple of days while my honey peri juice steeps up. But this is also excellent in its own right as well. So we're just going to take this dropper bottle out here and just put plenty of juice down here on top of that Cartomizer. You'll see it starts to pool up like that, but if you just wait a few seconds, it soaks all in. And you just do that a few times. Some people say until it until it won't, until it stays cooled at the top there. Some people say until juice starts dripping out the bottom. I usually just do whatever comes first of those two scenarios, or until I'm bored. And I think I've done it enough. But it's usually quite a bit of juice to prime that up. And again, we'll just keep dripping this until it stops soaking it up. But you do want to make sure you don't skimp on this step. If you don't properly soak this cartomizer, if it's not soaked down to that little hole, that wicking action between the tank, the juice in the tank, and the juice in the cartomizer is not going to happen. Because the juice won't go through that hole on its own. It already needs to be wet inside there, I found, for it to kind of facilitate that transfer of juice. Very technical physics and chemistry there, I'm sure. So we're just going to keep doing this. I think we're getting pretty close. No juice coming out of the bottom of it yet. But it is soaking up a good deal slower now. Yeah, this is exciting stuff here, guys, I know. Bloop, bloop, bloop. Okay, we're going to call that good enough. It's not leaking on the bottom there. I did spill a drop. Not a big deal, I'll just wipe that off. Sometimes if you blow through it and it starts spurting juice out the bottom, you'll know that that's full. This one doesn't seem to be full just yet. Yeah, we'll do one more cover of this. Alright, that's going to be enough. I say it is. Okay, so now we need to fill the carto tank. So what you want to do is you just basically push your carto into your tank, but not all the way. When you push it in all the way, it comes right up to the edge there. You can kind of see it comes right up to the edge of the tank there, which is great. That's where you want it when you're using it, but it's not where we want it just yet. So we're going to pull it back down. This might be really hard to see on camera. You can see you pull it down a little bit, and you can get some play there. You kind of move the carto, wiggle it back and forth inside there. If you just kick it over to one side, so you got a little bit of a gap there, and then just pour the juice down into that gap up until the edge of the cartomizer. I'm going to try and do this while doing it on camera. I don't know how successful we'll be. So we're going to, there you are, and just pour it down the side. The other bad thing I don't like about this tank is the color. Because it's the smoke color, which does look very cool, it's almost impossible to see how much juice you've got in there. So I'm just going to put however much I think I need in there, which is that's probably it. I'll do a little bit more here. And again, just kind of pouring down the side of the cart. Yeah, there we go. That's right to the top. So we're just going to push that back up. We've sealed it. Now with these locking cartomizers, a little flange there on the bottom, you want to make sure you line that up. There you go, just like that. So it's pushed all the way on there, and then you want to put your locking ring on there. Not all tanks are going to have this locking ring, and therefore you don't need to buy the flanged cartos. Those Finiac tanks, which I've heard really good stuff about, as far as like durability goes, and all kinds of different options for getting them sandblasted and whatnot. I've heard those are really, really tight on your cardo. They've got O-rings in there that are really, really snug, so you don't need to worry about getting locking cardos for those. They don't have a locking ring on the tank itself, so it wouldn't do you any good anyway. Yeah, so take that for what it's worth. Just different styles. So now we've got our cartomizer primed. We've got our tank full, and again, you can't see how much juice is in that because it's practically black. Yeah, we should be good to go. We just need to get a drip tip. I'll take one off my other tank here. Pop that guy on, and then just screw into your mod, and you're good to go. So yeah, it is a little bit more work than with these guys. Not a terrible amount of extra work, but some people don't even like the taste of cartomizers, so it wouldn't be totally worth it to them. I personally think cartomizers are great. I think they develop a really good flavor, and sometimes if you can chain bake on them a little bit longer too, because there's so much juice in the cartomizer itself. You can sit there and puff and puff and puff and puff and not have to worry about it drying out right away. Whereas with these guys, sometimes if you puff on them too much, in too short of a time period, that wick will dry out before it can soak up more juice and get a dry head. And that's not a lot of fun. But I think like the Bloody Mango juice tastes better in the Pro Tank. I don't know why. Honey Perry tastes great in the Cartomizer. Bloody Mango tastes great in a Clearomizer. That's why I have all this stuff, and that's why I keep buying more of it, because I knew one of these days I'm going to find some other combination that's even more amazing. But this is what I got right now. I hope that answered some questions for you. If not, just hit me up on Facebook or Reddit or whatever, and let me know. All right, bye.